Speaking of assholes, by the way, this dude, the Russia-Ukraine paradox. Whose land is whose when the war ends? Let's see if how far up Putin's ass Glenn decides to crawl this week.
I was thinking about this and doing some research on when has any country been asked to give land up that it won in a war.
Germany. That I would think it's kind of an important one. Germany.
And you can say that.
How about all the territory Japan took in China?
It was, their fault and everything else, but you want to make sure that you're very careful on punishment for those transgressions. Remember,
what the fuck do you mean careful?
The aggressor, really bad aggressor in World War I was Germany, and the world decided to punish Germany, and Germans didn't like it, and that led right directly to World War II, I think.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was Europe's fault that Germany decided to attack again after everybody hated it the first time they attacked. Get the fuck out of here.
Without the Versailles Treaty being done the way it was done, we wouldn't have had World War II. We may not have ever seen Hitler rise to power. It would be a good thing. But
yeah, no. Because the people involved still believed that there was territory that was in other countries that belonged to them.
You also have to set a standard in saying, hey, bad guys, you don't win when you do these things. So this is a really tough balance. But there's only one country in particular in the history of the world that has faced this burden where the whole world is turning on and saying, you got to give this back. Back in 1967, it was Israel. They were surrounded, encircled, and threatened with destruction by every single neighbor. Every country in the region decided together they were going to attack on multiple fronts.
So Ukraine is Israel in this analogy so far.
Now, their intention was to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. But Israel not only...
Just like Vladimir Putin intends to wipe Ukraine off the face of the earth, eliminate the language and the culture, say it never really existed in the first place, it isn't a real country, and turn it back into Russia. Okay, so far the analogy fits.
Survived. It turned the tide. In 6 days, it gained territory so dramatically that the map of the Middle East had to be withdrawn dramatically. It
had to be withdrawn? It was withdrawn? You mean redrawn?
Occupied huge swaths of territory in Jordan.
You got huge tracts of land.
And in Egypt, all over the Middle East. All of a sudden, they had all this territory. And then something extraordinary happened. They said, and you don't see this, and Russia, listen carefully to this, you don't see this very often. They said, we don't want all this territory.
Yeah, because it was shit land. It's fucking Lebanon and Egypt. It's the Sinai. It's desert, fucko. You're just managing a wider border. It was a security buffer for a short time. That's what the Hezbollah territory is in north of Israel. Like, it's not even a country anymore. It's Israel just has that as a buffer zone. They don't count it as Israel.
We want to be left alone, and we really just want a few buffer zones. We don't need all of this land in Jordan. We don't need all of this land in Egypt. We just want to make sure that this can't happen to us again.
Right. So that's why we should push the Russians back to the 91 borders and then about 20 miles further than that. And then we'll set up a buffer zone inside former Russian territory and they can stay on the other side of that fucking line. How about that? And then maybe if they're good after a couple years, we'll give back Kursk. How about that? Try that on for size. Well, by the way, this is a shit analogy if he's going with the idea that Russia should be willing to, or that Ukraine should be willing to cede territory to their attacker.
That's what Russia is saying. Now, whether that's true with Vladimir Putin or not, that's up for you to decide. But
what? Hold on. What are they saying?
Land in Jordan. We don't need all of this land in Egypt. We just want to make sure that this can't happen to us again. Well, that's what Russia is saying.
No, they're not. What the fuck? What are you talking about? First of all, the buffer zone area in this analogy, suddenly Russia is Israel and Ukraine attacked them and they want the Donbass and Luhansk and Donetsk, not because it's really Russian territory and Ukraine's not a real country and Ukraine, like the Ukrainian language is fake and there is no real history there and all the shit they've been actually actively been saying all the fucking time. And now they want the Donbass, all of it, and Crimea as a buffer zone to protect them against Ukraine not attacking them again. Get the fuck out of here. This is holy shit.
Now, whether that's true with Vladimir Putin or not, that's up.
It's not. I don't know where you pulled that out of your ass.
For you to decide. But what they're saying is they want just a buffer zone.
No, they're not. No, they are not. A buffer zone against what? Ukraine didn't invade, you dumb motherfucker.
Away from NATO. And
well, okay, so what the fuck happens to Finland now? Because Finland has a bigger border and they're in NATO now. So what are you talking about? So they can invade fucking, I don't know, 60 miles inside Finland up and down the entire border? Yeah, what the fuck?
What Ukraine is saying is we want to be part of NATO because we don't trust Russia, nor should they. So we want to we want NATO partnership. Basically what they want is if Russia attacks us, then all of NATO, Europe and America need to go in and fight that war with them. That's what they really want.
Right, because without that, Russia will attack again.
Well, Donald Trump, his allies came out this weekend and said they are very close to an Article 5 kind of agreement.
Whoa. Sorry. Donald Trump's allies? Donald Trump, first of all, the European countries are U.S. allies. They're not allies of the fucking president. He's not a goddamn monarch, no matter what you fucking want, you weirdo. His allies? Jesus.
Article 5 comes from the NATO charter, which means it was for Europe against Russia. Anybody who attacks a NATO country, it's an attack on all of us, and we all band together. Now, does that happen? Well, kind of it did after 9/11. Not everybody was involved, but it wasn't like it was intended to be. But that's fine.
Yeah, we weren't attacked by a country, dum-dum. And they did participate. They just didn't participate as going to Iraq. They went into Afghanistan with us. Because technically the terror camps where it was originated, even though it was fucking Saudis, originated through bin Laden's terror camps in southern Afghanistan. That's what that was about. What the fuck?
That's what Ukraine wants.
Oh my God. Has he been in a fucking coma since all this started? How can you be this dumb about this issue when you talk about it this much? Honest to God, I continue to be shocked that people that deal with these issues all the time. Vinny the other fucking day, like the details he didn't know about Epstein and Maxwell and the house and fucking the normal details we all know about the Epstein stuff. Like he was like, I had no idea. Like it's bizarre to me. How can you be surrounded by this and it just none of it fucking absorbs? It just information just bounces off your fucking forehead all the time.
What Russia says they want, whether
Jesus,
it's true or not, I don't know.
It's not.
But what they say they want is a buffer zone.
Bullshit. They can't be a buffer zone if they consider that their country. Plus, there is no buffer zone. Like, if they wanted a buffer zone, they would ask for the fucking, like, the UN, because they're a part of the Security Council, to put UN peacekeepers in that area to keep Ukrainians from attacking into Russia. This is fucking stupid. Oh my God.
If Russia can give up and look instead.
Give up. Give up what? Land they haven't conquered in Ukraine yet?
At the Israeli example.
If they could look at the Israeli example, they would get the fuck out. What the shit? This is, all right, look. Glenn Beck is always terrible at this shit. Like that's why his chalkboard bullshit is particularly hilarious, because the illusion of details that he plays with gives this kind of like, it creates this veneer of thoughtfulness or depth or not even understanding of the details, but an awareness of details. And he has none of it. Not only does he not know the details of this shit, he can't put them together for it. Maybe that's why he needs the chalkboard, because his fucking brain can't put normal logical conclusions together unless they're on like a visual medium. And even then, oh my God.
Of voluntarily, they gave most of it back.
What?
The Sinai, Gaza, and parts of
Israel. I thought like Russia gave most of it.
West Bank. They wanted to keep as part of a buffer zone, but they were in there because it was a buffer zone to them, okay? But
no, the West Bank qualifies partly as that the Golan Heights was an area that was not recognized but was going to act as a buffer zone. But Gaza was just left over, that like controlled by Egypt. It was just tacitly controlled by Egypt. They just wanted to create a separate area so that the Egyptians that flooded into that area and took over for whatever passed as the Palestinians at the time wouldn't be just part of Israel as a giant, or sorry, part of Egypt as as an adjunct of it. It would be its own separate state, so that any deal the rest of the world made with Egypt didn't also apply to that area inside Israel.
Land for time.
Robbie, you coming over to check my blood pressure? I'm fine. Believe me.
Its own size. Paid for in blood on an attack that they didn't do, others did to them. They gave all of that back in pursuit of peace. And they said...
Right. That's why this analogy doesn't make any fucking sense.
Look, we're not here for more land. We just want our land and to be left alone and have the right to exist. Now,
right, which is where the Ukrainians are, not the Russians. The fuck?
You've done this to us several times, so we want just exactly what, Russia could say. We've been attacked by the West over and over.
No, you haven't. What the fuck? No, you have not. They have not been attacked. They attacked Chechnya. They attacked Georgia. They attacked Ukraine. They attacked African countries. They went after the fucking gold in the Congo. What the fuck are you talking about? What? How is this? Who? Who attacked? What? What in the world? How? Like, honestly, this is fucking gibberish. Yeah, if Val was a cartoon, his head would explode. What the hell? Yes, exactly, Sherry. If Russia wants a buffer zone, they can make it 20 miles inside their own fucking country. They could set up a demilitarized zone on their border that protects them from any encroachment. And then they could sit there with their fucking pud in their hand.
Again, and they come through this door of either Poland or now they're worried about Ukraine. So
they're not worried about Ukraine. Come through this door through Poland. What do you mean, the Germans?
We want a buffer zone. Well, the world didn't give them that buffer zone. It's the disputed territories, the occupied territories. But that's why Israel...
occupied by who? By them.
Israel wanted it. And then they gave everything else back. A nation smaller than New Jersey carved out just this little buffer zone So they had a way to protect themselves in case this would ever happen.
How the fuck would they protect themselves if they have the Finland border and they're in NATO? The Ukrainians never attacked them. Not once. What are you talking about? All right, this may go down as one of the stupidest fucking analogies in the history of the English language.
And again, now compare this with Russia and Ukraine.
I'm trying, and you really have to be stupid.
Crimea was taken in 2014. They invaded Ukraine outright in 2022, and they hold huge swaths of land under the occupation. So what's the path forward? Well,
they can get the fuck out. How about we keep supporting Ukraine as long as they want to fight, because it's their land and they were attacked. And if Russia can, they can either go broke or get the fuck out. And if they ever want a chance at doing business with the rest of the world again, especially the rest of the world that actually has cool shit to have it all, that has Silicon Valley and working washing machines and all that kind of shit, then they can fucking clean their shit up. Get the fuck out.
Continued bloodshed. And I think it's important that we put this into perspective.
Let's hear it. Here's Glenn Beck's perspective on, look, all they did was send rape squads in and booby trap the bodies of children and invade twice. And by the way, let's not forget Chechnya and fucking Georgia.
20,000 Russians, according to the U.S., 20,000 Russians died last month.
So what do we call that? A good start? It's a fucking war that they started. Yes, they booby-trapped children's bodies. They killed children, and then they put grenades with they pulled a pin and lay the body on top of it, so if you turn the child over, you get blown to pieces. The Russians did that. That's not a buffer, okay? You don't do that if you're just going, I'm worried about being attacked, okay? That's a signal that you plan a genocide. When you booby trap the bodies of the fallen, civilians, that's not you crying out, we need a buffer zone and protection, we're the innocent victims here.
How long did the Vietnam War go on? That was a total of about 55,000 Americans.
Right. What was the death toll on the other side?
In 1 month, you're almost half of the entire Vietnam War.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying is that when Vladimir Putin saw our exit from Afghanistan and said, Joe Biden's weak and this is a perfect time to attack Ukraine, perhaps he was mistaken.
There's a lot of bloodshed and a lot.
Yeah, who started it?
Of bloodshed that is happening on the other side as well. How?
Right, because they're defending themselves from an invading army. Maybe crack a history book. God damn.
Many have the Russians killed month after month after month. So to stop this, is there something we can look to from 1967?
No, there isn't. Because the analogy would be that Ukraine is Israel in this circumstance, and they themselves choose to have buffer zones into other territories.
You know, a recognition of the reality on the ground, and then some hard choices on both sides.
Wait, also, let's just take this analogy a bit further. Let's say that from Ukraine's standpoint, they view Luhansk and Donetsk and maybe even Crimea as sort of the West Bank and Gaza of these areas. And just like the West Bank and Gaza, Russia funnels money and arms into Luhansk, Donetsk, and Crimea to continue partisan warfare around the edges and with the idea of eventually claiming the entire country as their own, because they don't think it's a real country and it doesn't exist. Just like the argument from Hamas, Russia believes that about Ukraine. And so do you think that giving them that ground actually will lead to peace? Or will it be another place to launch attacks? If you're really saying that, like, carving out the West Bank and Gaza and not incorporating them into the fact that Arabs and Palestinians that live inside Israel can vote and all that kind of stuff, if that had been how it was the entire time, you probably wouldn't have had this partisan warfare. It would just be Palestine by another name, calling it Israel, but everybody still lives together, versus these sectarian separatist areas, these reservations, effectively, where Russia is funneling arms into both the West Bank and into Gaza. They would do the same thing in Luhansk, Donetsk, and Crimea.
But anchor it all in peace.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just do that. Why didn't somebody bring that? We could just, guys, hey, we can just anchor it all in peace. We'll do that. Okay. Anchor it all in peace. Shit, I'm surprised this asshole isn't on Trump's fucking team.
Marco Rubio said this weekend, and he's right, peace demands sacrifice. And Israel proved that by returning Sinai to Egypt in exchange for recognition and an end to the hostilities.
Right. But that's because they were attacked and they drove... Then fine. Here, how about this, asshole? Russia can go back to 91 borders and Ukraine will give back Kursk. How about that? They'll blow up the Kerch Bridge, but they'll give back Kursk, the territory inside Russia that they took in this war. And then we can all go back to 91 borders and everybody, no harm, no foul, and then Russia can start paying to rebuild Ukraine. What the fuck?
It wasn't perfect. It didn't...
Yes, that's how I would define the Israeli-Palestinian conflict over the last half century. Is not perfect.
Solve every grievance, but it worked.
No, it didn't.
And Egypt and Israel haven't gone to war in half a century.
Right. Neither has Jordan. Yeah. Now do Syria and Lebanon.
Again, it's messy, it's ugly, but we...
Yes. Why solve it and go back to the internationally recognized borders in Europe when that we had for a while, when there wasn't actually any warfare, when we can create partisan fighting zones that will last for decades? Now who works for the military-industrial complex, Glenn?
Had a war between Egypt and Israel in half a century. Survival outweighs pride. And here's the challenge for Russia and Ukraine. Both claim history in that. Deep, deep history in that area.
No. That 91 borders isn't deep, deep history. And Russia's claim to like territory that it lost when it ceased to become a fucking country is nobody's fault. Empires fell. The Ottoman Empire doesn't still lay claim to all of the fucking Middle East and Turkey. It's gone. The Russian Empire, the Soviet Socialist Republic is fucking gone. I don't give a shit if Lavrov wears a t-shirt to Alaska or not.
Both claim injustice. And Ukraine, I think you have a much more solid claim on injustice against the Russians than they do the other way.
You think?
But the question is not whose parchment, who owns this land, who has the oldest deed here. The question is,
No, yeah, we're not talking about the oldest deed. We're talking about modern map lines agreed to by all parties for a couple of decades, actually.
Are you willing to trade land for more lives? Are you willing to give back or give up enough to stop the killing? And that's not just on the Ukraine side. That is also on the Russian side.
No, it isn't. Because they want land they haven't even won yet. That's not a concession, you fucking tit.
No other country has done what Israel does. Nobody. No, there's no example like this. No other modern country has been attacked by multiple neighbors, survived, expanded, and then voluntarily gave all that land back, and then is still being judged for not giving all of it back.
I thought you said they did give all of it back before you said they didn't give it all back. Also, native reservations? Do you know of any other country in the world that has reservations? Canada, right? That's it. Even the native territories in Mexico don't have any special federal protection. They're just kind of like theatrical boundaries.
And the closest comparison is probably from 1971.
Yeah, Australia is another good example. Yep. Thanks, Karate Joe.
India took some land from Pakistan in a war, and then they gave it back. After World War II, we didn't occupy. We gave the land back. But neither one of those examples have the double standards that Israel has to live through.
Yeah, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the Russia summit with Trump that was a complete waste of fucking time.
But if Russia and Ukraine are serious about ending the war, they might want to look to Sinai.
Why don't they just look to the Jacobins versus the Royalists in the French Revolution while you're at it? What shit? If they're going to look to an analogy that doesn't fit at all to the circumstance,
you might want to look back, because that's the model. Not endless battles, not shifting borders by force, but the humility to give back what you can and the wisdom to keep only that in what you have to have for your own security.
Okay, then Russia can get the fuck out, go back to 91 borders because NATO never attacked them, not once, not ever, doesn't intend to. It only exists because of the fear that Russia will attack its neighbors, which it has multiple fucking times. The countries that need security barriers are the countries that are next to Russia, not the other way around. This analogy gets worse the more he talks, and I don't know how that's possible at this point, but it...
And then Russia has to do that, and Ukraine has to be willing to swallow that they have lost some of these things, but it's in trade.
Why? Why? 80% of the Russians that are dying are coming from drone strikes. Little 3D printed drones with grenades attached to them. It's not costing the Ukrainians anything in terms of Ukrainian lives to kill 80% of the Russians that get killed on the fucking battlefield. And that's not even, that would be assuming even that the 20% that are killed in direct combat take somebody with them, which they currently are not. Let me also, I don't know if you guys saw this, and I'm sad we didn't get to bring up this story the other day. Yeah, here you go. Just trying to find a copy of the fuck. There you go. Here you go, Glenn. Check this out. 1 second. Here's what the Ukrainians are working with. Hold on here. Let's slide this over so I can show you this. There you go. That was last week. Or fuck, this week. Oh, thank you. I just saw the... Where did that come from? The Venmo. Oh my gosh. Andrew, thank you so much for the Venmo. That's so... I'm touched. That's fucking crazy. Bless you. Man. This is what the Ukrainians are doing. And I got news for you. This sniper got 2 Russians with this shot from 2.5 miles away. Hold on. Now I've got to sign into this thing. Is that how it works? Shit. All right. Let's sign in there. There you go. Sign up over here. Say it can't be reload. No, it's not allowing me to do it. Oh, it has to be done in... hold on. Sniper Daily Beast. All right, here we go. There you go. We'll open it up. There we go. Is it? Yeah, there's the whole thing. Read the whole thing on the U.S. Sun. Okay, but here you go. This is this guy right here. The world record for the longest confirmed sniper kill was reportedly broken by a Ukrainian soldier who killed 2 Russian soldiers with a bullet from 2.5 miles away. 2 guys, 1 bullet. I mean, that's 2 Russians, 1 cup. Footage shows the bullet piercing a glass window before striking the Russian troops, and a flash of light could be seen as the bullet made impact. The record-breaking shot took place Thursday on the Pokrovsk-Mirnorad defense line by Ukraine's ground forces. The sniper platoon, named Privid, meaning ghost, comprising of 8 sniper units, was responsible for the shooting. The bullet was fired from an alligator sniper rifle, according to United 24 Media, which also reported that artificial intelligence helped break the world record by guiding the bullet and working alongside a drone reconnaissance complex. According to the military reports, the Privid unit was successfully taken out nearly 1,000 Russian troops in this sector, has successfully taken out nearly 1,000 Russian troops in this sector in the past year alone. While Moscow has attempted to breach Ukraine's defense lines by deploying around 110,000 troops in the area, the Ukrainian military confirmed Friday the region is still under their control. The previous world record was held by a fellow Ukrainian sniper who set a record of 2.3 miles in 2023, also to take out a Russian adversary. So no, they do not. AI did it, not the human. Well, no, they helped set it. It's kind of like they helped do the calculation, because a sniper will usually have a person with them that helps them do the, for those long range shots, will help them do the calculation of where to aim and all that kind of stuff and the timing of it. And then they actually fire the shot is how it works. They just used AI instead of a person because they're really using drone sites and they're coordinating stuff in between. It's 2.5 miles. But go watch Shooter and you'll see what I mean. Yeah, rangefinder.
For their security. And if Donald Trump can get Russia to accept an Article 5-like security agreement.
Which means if Russia attacks again, the U.S. will join all of Europe in attacking Russia. What do you think the chances are that he'll go with that, dum-dum?
That in and of itself is miraculous.
Yes, it's a miraculous thing that won't happen.
And we could actually all go home and say, well, avoided nuclear war on that.
Hey, asshole, you are home. What do you mean you can go home? Fuck are you talking about? Go home, that means we will have either our airplanes at some point in rotation flying over that Ukrainian territory, or we'll have troops on the ground, or we'll have security personnel throughout there. Go home.
Because remember where we were.
Where were we? You're in fucking Texas in your little ranch.
Remember, in 2022, Joe Biden was saying this is nuclear war. If these things happen, this will be nuclear war. Remember how freaked out we all were? We were like,
hold on. This is what he's referring to. Biden calls the prospect of Armageddon the highest since Cuban Missile Crisis. President's blunt warning, highly unusual for an American president, who's delivered informally to a group of Democratic donors in New York City. President delivered a striking warning on Thursday night that recent threats from Putin of Russia could devolve into nuclear conflict, telling supporters at a fundraiser in New York City that the risk of atomic war had not been so high since the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. This is just true. We have not faced the prospect of Armageddon since Kennedy and the Cuban Missile Crisis. We are trying to figure out what is Putin's off-ramp. Where does he find a way out? Where does he find himself? Where does he where he does not only lose face but significant power? Yeah, he invaded effectively a European country. Sorry, Georgia, you're certainly European adjacent.
Wait a minute. Nobody's been talking about nuclear war, in 50 years. What do you...
Right, which is exactly Biden's fucking point.
What do you mean nuclear war?
He means Russia has nukes, and it uses MAD, mutually assured destruction, as an umbrella under which it can attack its neighbors.
We could avoid that.
We did, all during Biden. Right? We did. Did Russia drop a nuke while Joe Biden was president? Did it happen? No, it didn't. Was his warning salient? Was it smart? Was he correct? Yes.
I don't know who you voted for, nor do I care.
I voted for Harris. And I voted for Biden. And I voted for Obama. I didn't vote against Trump. I didn't have to. I liked my choices.
I would hope that we are all praying for cooler heads to prevail.
We were. And then you fuckers voted in an old man whose brain is turning to tapioca, whose dick is the size of a tiny mushroom to match his goddamn fingers. And he's got to show off to the world that he knows what's going on when he couldn't find his ass with both hands, even through a diaper.
Because this one now comes down to how many more innocent lives that are not involved in this.
You mean Ukrainians? That's it. Ukrainians. God damn.
Who are being drafted on both sides.
Nope. No.
Being forced to fight this war.
You're leaving out all the guys who were in jail for rape and murder, serial murderers that Russia let out of jail early so that they could go fight at the front line. And they, by the way, those guys, a lot of them survived their term and are back in Russia killing their neighbors and their loved ones again.
On both sides. How many more people are we going to kill?
We're not killing anybody. Russia is responsible for every death. Every death. If you break into somebody's house with a friend of yours and that person gets shot by the homeowner, guess who's on the hook for that death? You are. They followed you in. If they kill somebody while they're in there, guess who's on the hook for that death? You are, because you brought them with you.
Or allow being killed because of what?
Because Russia invaded a sovereign country, it's third.
Because of pride?
No, because of rape squads and 70,000 abducted children.
I don't want to see Putin rewarded for anything that he did.
Well, that's what you're advocating for.
Nothing. But war is war. You know, you don't, and if you're willing to continue to fight, but Ukraine's not going to be able to win this war against Ukraine.
Really? Ukraine's fighting itself? This is like Superman 3?
Against Russia. Would you agree with that, Jason? Jason Buttrill is with us.
Jason's full of shit, and so are you. Ukraine can absolutely win. With our help and Europe's help, there's no question.
Agree? They're not able to fight unless we all get involved, and it's world.
We are involved, dummy.
War.
That's the thing. Depending on how many people get pushed into this, there's some.
We're not pushed into it. We're supporting them. All we got to do is give them arms. They're able to do their own fighting.
Crazy developments in this war, technological advances, drone warfare has escalated out the roof on this. I mean, have you seen some of the
crazy? It's weird, isn't it? It's like they almost don't need soldiers anymore.
Videos coming from, and the crazy thing is Ukraine is actually leading, I think, in just ingenuity as far as like drone warfare. But you can watch videos on X right now that show some of these first-person, drones chasing down Russian soldiers across the battlefield, and it's going back and forth. To answer your question,
it's terrifying. No, it isn't. Because you can avoid it by not invading a country for no reason.
No, more specifically, no.
It's terrifying. You know what's terrifying is the Russian drones that are chasing down civilians.
It's basically a war of, attrition and numbers. The Russians have more. And the only way that Ukraine can effectively over time win is if we get involved. Other NATO countries get involved. That's where things spin out of control.
And here's another thing while we're talking.
Sorry, why wouldn't letting Russia win by sending, tens of thousands of their citizens into the meat grinder, why isn't that spinning out of control? Why does that not count as spinning out of control?
Talking about new technology. Let me go back to the B-2 bomber flying over Donald Trump and Putin. And everybody in the media was like, he's on the red carpet and he saluted him with, a flyover. No, No, that was intimidation. That was clearly intimidation. What was the message? Why did he say fly the B-2 bomber?
Because he knew he'd look like a rancid, gaping anus in front of Putin, and Hegseth and the rest of those guys thought they needed an alpha move.
Back in 1940, Jack Northrop dreams up the flying wing, and it's radical. It has no tail. It was the YB-49, and it was really futuristic. Now, the Germans were working on the flying wing as well, but nobody could get it to stabilize. And
Oh, this fucking Glenn's gone into AI and fucking Wikipedia mode. Can I show you something real quick? Summer and I were looking at something. I'm going to end the show on this because it's kind of futuristic and fun. Yeah. So you cooked up the story and dropped the 6 of us into the meat grinder. Let's see. Where are we? There is a sort of a an autonomous version of the shuttle that is being flown. Here you go. Let's see if I can find this. Yeah, here you go. It's called the X-37B. Now, Carl Alessi, if he's in the audience, will know all about this. But the U.S. has, since 2010, had this thing. It's still in kind of its sort of a testing phase. It worked so well right away that they started flying. The idea is that they were going to do, like, I think 6 or 7 test flights, but it has been in the air for, like years at a time. The X-37B, which is it sounds a lot like the, where is it? The
Iridium Q-36 explosive space modulator.
You know what I mean? So this would be it. Let me show you this. This is the when Summer and I went down to the Kennedy Space Center while we were on vacation for her birthday last week. Friday we went to Kennedy and we did one of the tours and that kind of stuff. And they're like, this is the super secret project that's going on that NASA's working on, the X-37B. And the joke around there is it's such a huge secret that there's a giant painting of it on one of the walls of one of the buildings down there. And that would be this guy right here, this device. That's the that's its own little thing. And it is a reusable space shuttle type flying vehicle. It is autonomous. There are no people in it. It's basically a drone. It's a third or a quarter the size, a fifth, something like that. The size of the space shuttle, and it can stay in orbit for, I think the longest time it's spent in orbit was like 700 days. And they only know everything that happens in its payload is a secret. It's a lot of, it's technically in the Air Force, it's technically Space Force, I guess, at this point. But one of the things that they know it tested was that this panel about the size of a pizza box that can convert solar radiation into microwaves and could possibly focus. If you could put one of these things in space, in orbit, and then aim it at a solar array below it, you could guarantee sunlight hitting it all the time, and it would be intensified. These guys are wearing suits because it just came back from space, and they have to wear protection. This is, ain't got no rubbers now. It's raining all the time, honey. So that's the one. I think there's one other thing that they put in as and Carl will probably know this. We'll know there's one other thing that they mentioned that people know. It was a long-range satellite, but the last one that went up was meant to go into like geosynchronous orbit or further and through the Van Allen belt and all that kind of stuff, and sort of hover in it to see what some of the devices they have attached to it. This would be that microwave thing that can create, or a plasma engine, those kind of things. So that was the thing, like the home of the X-37B, and then they got a big painting of it. It's supposed to be a big secret. But it's very cool. And one of the things, it'll go up in Blue Origin. It went up on the I guess the Vulcan rocket or whatever, but it's been going up since, yeah, there you go, 469 days, 225 days, 675 days, and then 718 days is the record. It was in orbit for 718 days and then came back down and landed. And they are doing a lot of experiments in it that they can normally do in the space station. But it's just fascinating. Like, to me, this is how they're gonna, it's the Van Halen belt. Goddamn, did someone dig up Buck Rogers? Absolutely. It very much does look like his ship from Buck Rogers. You're absolutely right. Their version of the space shuttle that he was in. Cool, love it. But couldn't find the Epstein files. Yeah, they're probably using it to eject the Epstein files into space. It was seeds. That's what it was. So they checked space radiation against seeds. So they flew a bunch of seeds in varying degrees of germination, germinating seeds in this, and they put it in like high orbit, and just to see how radiation affects the growth of the seeds over time. Very much stuff they do in the space station. But this particular thing is pretty spectacular, and it goes up in the nose, and then the nose pops open and it's just inside there. And you can't do that with people quite yet, but ultimately it could be a two-seater, that this could be the dummy that ultimately they create a two-seater version of this with humans in it to work with a manual payload that they would actually have to do stuff with. Yeah, habitat prep. So pretty fascinating, and we saw that when we went to Kennedy. They you could see the outside of the building, and it painted on the side. They're like, yes, it's a big secret. It's right in that building right there, the huge secret. But the fact that it was in orbit for 716 days and then landed, and it lands like a jet. It comes back into the environment like the space shuttle does, but then it lands. It's a repeater. It's pretty impressive. Thank you, TOH Show Live. Man, I wish I had my little thing up that shows what's happening. I got to figure out that event thing again because it stopped working. So there. Meanwhile, while everybody's fixating, I think, on Elon Musk and all of his other shit, quite frankly, there is a ton of other work being done. And I know personally, folks, that I'm going to keep fighting the good fight. Tomorrow morning, I believe. We're gonna be able to have on Lev Parnas again. He's gonna be with us the run of the show. The Major will be with us in the first hour, and then Phil in the second hour. And I think Lev might be with us for the whole thing, which would be awesome. Even if he can only do an hour, that would be amazing. But we'll have a ton to talk about, so I'm gonna go prep for that. Wish me luck. This seems to have fixed a bunch of things. Hopefully, I can eventually get back to what is it? But I'm gonna go back under my desk when this is all over. As a matter of fact, my only concern at this point is the kidney. The I don't even know if that's.
Oh, beware of the kidney. Oh, beware of the kidney.
Help! What happened?
You are watching Housewives worldwide.
Just when things were going so well. Son of a bitch! Ah!
So please, would you like to subscribe?
The kidney has a very special place